Hello, everyone, and welcome to In Conversation with Cleanroom Technology. Today, I'm joined by Stefan Karl, CEO of MPL. Stefan, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, Tom. Great to speak with you today.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking the time. It's great. So can you provide a background of your company and QC-related services?
Absolutely, happy to do so. We are MPL. We are a microbiological contract lab in the GMP area, especially focusing on pharmaceutical products, sterile as well as non-sterile products. And we're in the market since 1993. So it's basically 30 years now that we're in this field, and we are testing medical devices. We're testing pharmaceutical products, and in some regards also nutraceuticals as well as cosmetic products. We are a family-run business, which is quite different to the, let's say, multinationally dominated industry. I've joined the company some 5 years back, and I have to say I really like to work with this smaller, mid-sized company. And yeah, it's a lot of fun dealing with a lot of customers and great new products every day, new samples.
Brilliant. So as you know, Annex 1 has recently been published. Which changes do you expect and foresee from a pharma quality control perspective?
I see there will be lots of changes. I mean, as you say, Annex 1 has been just recently published. Actually, the industry has waited for the new version of Annex 1 for quite some time, some years now. But there will be significant changes. I see that in general, looking at the final version that we have now, it's more comprehensive, more detailed. It's also more up to date with new technology like rapid methods and single-use systems. And when it comes to the changes that we see for the different departments, I think there will be more work for QA. So risk management, basically coming from the ICH-Q9, has been incorporated into Annex 1 and is culminating in this new concept of the contamination control strategy. So we identify critical control points and aspects across the manufacturing and testing of a product, a little bit like the HACCP concept in the food industry. And so there will be a lot more for the QA departments to work on. Also, data interpretation, review of data, monitoring, trending, this will also be a significant increase, I believe, and typical work of a QA department. Also for a QC lab like we are, and also of course for QC labs of a manufacturer, I think there will be some significant increases of work and more to do. Think of a requalification of clean room areas, especially grade A or B areas, where we now have a requalification period of 6 months compared to the earlier and typically implemented 12 months. We also see that for bioindicators, for example, population, purity, and identity of these needs to be checked for every batch, which is something that many customers or many companies have anyway adopted, but not everybody for whom Annex 1 might be relevant has followed this approach so far. So we see identification testing will need to be ramped up and more focus on also the interpretation of the data. Also for single-use systems, there is detailed descriptions in the new Annex 1 how to deal with single-use systems, with their depending on their complexity, with the risks associated with their fragile nature, as it says. And so there is more sterility testing also required for these systems. So there is now an expectation that every unit basically, or every batch of a unit system that is being purchased needs to be tested upon receipt and prior to be released for usage. So there is more on this perspective. There is a lot of details where it's more stringent and stricter compared to the earlier version of Annex 1. There is just one example that just popped up in my eyes a few days ago. Actually, is for settle plates. So we always had this duration or the time period of a maximum of 4 hours for settle plates in environmental monitoring. But if you wanted to have a longer exposure, you had to have a risk assessment basically. And it seems that this option has completely gone away, and there is now only a maximum of 4 hours for settle plate exposure. And also, if you go for 4 hours or less, you would need to have a risk assessment and also scientific basis rationale for allowing that time frame for settle plates. So there is a lot to do for QC labs and QA labs that I see with the new Annex 1 now.
You manage a third-party laboratory. Where do you see the advantage for your customers to outsource both their testing needs and microbial identifications?
I think that microbial testing and understanding the background of it becomes not only more complex from a technological perspective, but also from a procedural perspective. We just spoke a little bit about what will change in Annex 1. And it also means that from a technical perspective, we need to go into a much more complex environment. So we will see more rapid methods, we will see technically more advanced methods taking place in microbial testing, of course, also in other means of QC testing. But that means that the whole staffing of a QC lab, and especially also of a micro lab, would need to be considered to be more, consider more headcount, more technically advanced systems and engineering from that perspective, which needs also to be developed. So I see that in this time where we anyway see the days of big quit, so in these days where many companies need to focus on their core competencies, this is exactly where third-party labs then come into play, because they are a problem solver. They offer their services with a specific dedication, completely sized to the needs of a customer. So I think there will be a lot of competition also among those testing labs in the future, but I see also some more specialization. So we at MPL, for example, we focus on sterility testing and testing of non-sterile products. And I think that we will need to also look into understanding the data, make them accessible, have them better, have a better means of interpretation and understanding the data. And typically this is something where clients lack that personnel in this very niche of QC testing.
A very thorough answer. I mean, you've essentially answered my next question, which was the services a QC laboratory should provide. So I'll skip to the next one if you don't mind, which is, what do you think is just the general future of the data of microbiology laboratories?
I think it's just like I said, and it comes into play with the technical progress. We have seen the last years a lot of data being put into LIMS systems, into other technical, into software systems, technical tools, etc. But in many cases, we have not really taken the same effort to get the data out of that system or to do trending of that data. And I think that this will be the future, to really not only collect the data, but make it accessible, make it trendable or trend it, and allow really then conclusions, drawing the right conclusions based on scientific rationales.
Fantastic. And how would you say microbial ID is linked to the application of data used to implement new technologies within QC microbiology?
I think it's very important to have the right data in terms of technically correct data. For example, with MALDI-TOF, an identification technology that we're partnering with Charles River Labs, we are able to reliably identify over 14,000 microbiological entries on species level. So no other technical method of identification allows this in a cost-effective way. So what we are seeing is that we need to have a good system, a technically up to state-of-the-art or up-to-date system to allow really finding out what species is a specific contaminant, for example, and then drawing the right conclusions. So it's really important to technologically set on the right system, and be innovative, basically.
Yeah, I mean, microbiology has often been linked to old-fashioned methods. I mean, have you seen more openness to the use of tech, like new tech, in microbiology?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. We have not been very open for innovation in our highly regulated environment so far. I see that this is changing. We see this especially now also in the Annex 1. We see it also in pharmacopoeias around the world. So there is more openness for innovation and new technologies, especially also when we look at the European Pharmacopoeia 2627 or 516, the door is really open for rapid or alternative methods in identification testing, in sterility testing, in bioburden testing, and monitoring programs. So also for us as a lab, it means we need to be looking at the new technology that is out there or that is just being released. And for us, it's important to be on the front line here and be a front runner when it comes to establishing new innovative methods of testing also.
Let's touch on CRL. How long have you partnered with them, and why did you choose them?
Actually, it's funny you say we chose them. It has been a little bit the other way around. Actually, we have been contacted by Charles River. I think it was now some 2 years back, and we were quite surprised. But it seems that we have done a few things right in the past, and actually, we have realized in this project of identification testing that both of our parties can benefit from a collaboration. And so I'm really happy that we have taken that decision, partnering with Charles River on microbial testing. We have known Charles River for years, especially from endotoxin testing. But it's now really, it has been quite tempting to become the only European GMP contract lab that is able to offer the IDs through Charles River's Acugenics database with its more than 14,000 entries. And so we're happy that we've taken that decision. It's only half a year now that we have basically gone into routine with it. And I see our customers, our current customers, our old customers, and also new fresh customers actually really appreciate that system. It's interesting, whenever we have clients visiting our lab, be it for technical visits, for audits, and no matter what technical purpose they are inspecting our lab or auditing our lab. Actually, they all want to know about this multi-top machine with the Charles River database. So it's really something where people are keen on finding out how it works or understanding the basics, basically, and then also taking the decision to bring some more identification testing to MPL, helping us identify with the Charles River database.
Brilliant. Well, I wish you both, everyone, good luck for the future. Thanks once again, Stefan.
Thanks.
No, thank you. Thanks very much for your time and expertise today, Stefan. It was really enlightening. You were watching In Conversation with Cleanroom Technology. If you enjoyed this video, please head over to our YouTube website for more content with prominent industry figures. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you and have a very good day.